Hello everybody, I'm Gary the Motham and welcome back to another episode of Pokemon Orange. Today I'll be redesigning and reimagining old Pokemon that I drew for this series about 5 months ago. Oh Jesus, I'm getting old. To those who don't yet know, Pokemon Orange is a series where I draw Pokemon for a region inspired by the Netherlands, as well as the wider Benelux as a whole. And since I've been slaving away at this series for almost half a year now, some of the older designs are, what's the opposite of good again? Alright, bad. A few months ago I already redesigned the starters for this region, but today I'm turning my focus on the early route Pokemon. When I made my first video, it had been over half a year since I had drawn my last Fakemon. And so I was still very rusty with my first few designs. As well as the video making. Damn, these old videos are not worth rewatching. While I was proud of most of my old designs at the time, I like to think I've improved a lot since then, as both an artist and a video creator. So today I'll be giving some of those old designs the justice they deserve. While I was proud of most of these Pokemon when I drew them, there were two Pokemon that I was never really that happy with when I drew them. Those being Megalites and Beesects. While I did like their evolution Bumbleofets, I feel like it also aged like Miltank milk. So, how will I be improving these designs and redesign them? I won't. Ha 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 ha! Burn in hell! With that out of the way, I need a new 3-stage bug-type Pokemon based on bees. I may have shafted these old designs, but I still like the basic concept behind them. They're based on the social structure of beehives, and specifically the bee queen, as well as the life stages of this bee queen. Bee grubs are encased in honey within the beehive, which serves as their protection and their food source. And I really like the original idea behind Megalite being a little bee grub encased in honey. But the execution was a bit awkward. So instead I'm going to do the single best design trope in Pokemon. Little round bean with spikes and a butt for a face. For example, Snom or Pincurchin. God, I love these guys so much. Though I'm not giving my Pokemon spikes, which stings. I'm still making a cute little baby bean entirely encased in honey. This honey was heavily inspired by those cute little dungeon slimes. The little grub inside is in fetal position, because it's also based on a homunculus. You've probably heard of the homunculus already. The story behind it is quite interesting. The homunculus was an old theory about the inception of human consciousness. Popular in European and Islamic alchemy, a certain Dutch scientist, quote-unquote, Nicolaas Hartzoeker, claimed to have discovered scientific evidence of little human creatures inside seeds distributed by the male body, which, quote-unquote, proved the existence of little men inside of our seeds, which would then be inserted into a woman to create a consciousness. Yeah, it's clear that people from this time ate off of lead plates, isn't it? Anywho, here is the gooey goofy goober Goobee from Goop and Bee.
Goobee, the honey Pokemon. A bug type. Goobee's caretakers put it inside a strong coat of honey, which serves as both a protective bubble and a source of nourishment for this Pokemon. The honey that surrounds it is an extremely potent compound. Alchemists theorized this honey was a vital component in the creation of human life. It has the abilities Swarm, Honey Gather, and the hidden ability Sticky Hold.
I adore this little guy. He's so cute. I want to squish him and slurp his honey. Oh my gosh. It's just a little bean. He means no business. Though now it's time to fix, in my opinion, the worst Pokemon I have drawn on this channel. Time to fix... B-Sec. Oh crap, it's still on fire. Oh god, oh god. Yeah, that's right. B-Sec is my least favorite Pokemon I have drawn since I started this channel. And while I like the idea of a little bee smeared in mind-controlling honey, which sticks a bunch of other bees against it and makes it look like an actual beehive, the whole concept was executed very sloppily and unclearly. And instead of taking this concept and trying again, I decided to just scrap it entirely and replace it with a brand new concept. A bug encased in amber. B-Sects, you shall be banished to the realm of lost media forever. Doomed to irrelevancy to even the most dedicated of data miners. Goodbye. Anywho, the bug in amber. During Roman times, amber was an extremely valuable material with which the Romans were obsessed. They imported it from all around them, and specifically through the Amber Roads, which led from the Baltics to the Empire. However, some offshoots of the road also ran through the lowlands, trading amber with the Romans stationed there. So it's like a little bug encased in amber, but also crystallized honey. This Pokemon will also be a psychic type. Alchemist scientists theorized that humans could create their own homunculus using alchemy, which when fully grown would possess god-like abilities, such as being great at arts, I know, I'm a god too, but also creating dwarves, giants and other marvels. By the way, don't look up how to create a homunculus. Worst mistake of my life. The other reason for its psychic type is that the amber-like honey it's encased in is actually royal jelly, which is a specialized substance bees create to feed the queen larva. If a grub is fed this honey its entire life, it will become the queen of the bees. Lastly, the amber cage it's trapped inside of is shaped like a roly-poly doll. Those dolls that, no matter how hard you hit them, just won't stay down. Oh. Amblebee, from Amber and Bumblebee.
Amblebee, the Amber Pokemon, a bug psychic type. Inside of the crystal-like layer of hardened honey resides a little pupa. It's trapped within honey, and so all it can do is wait and meditate. Samples of the honey that encase it suggest this jelly to have incredible powers. The others in its hive inject Amblebee's honey with a special substance known as Power Jelly. This jelly possesses the innate ability to enhance both mind and body of whoever eats it, to an unimaginable degree. It has the abilities Swarm, Honey Gather, and hidden ability Sticky Holds.
This Pokemon is such an improvement over... what was its name again? Garbage? Something like that. Both Amblebee and Goobee are vastly different and much better than their original counterparts. And so there's only one more bee that needs to be redesigned. Bumblofets. While I don't dislike Bumblofets, at least not nearly as much as the other two, I do think it's in dire need of a redesign, especially with the drastic changes I made to its pre-evolutions. So I'll work on building upon this amber and honey concept more. This time, instead of being trapped by it, the new Bumblofets will be breaking out of the sweet and delectable prison. I wanted to make the design even more humanoid than it originally was, since it's based on the final stage of a homunculus, described as something that resembles a person, but isn't quite human. There are also a lot of hypothetical depictions of a homunculus, but I don't know if you can tell by the heavy blur and censorship, but I don't think this interpretation is suitable for Pokemon or my videos. So instead, I'm making it resemble an angel instead, as well as a Roman emperor. I'm mixing all of this together to make a queenly Pokemon. The honey-like amber encases its legs to resemble a dress, or the abdomen of a bee. And on its head it has an amber crown of wreaths, also loosely shaped like a helmet and antennae, or the halo of an angel. It gets 4 amber wings, which are spread out eternally in the same way as the arms of the Vitruvian man. I also eventually shaped its fuzzy color and body to resemble the outfit of a Roman emperor like Caesar. I did a lot of adjusting and refining to this drawing, as I wanted to capture a certain air of brilliance and elegance with this Pokemon. While it's technically an all-female Pokemon, I made sure that it wasn't too gendered-looking in any way, shape or form, since the homunculus was theorized by alchemists to always come in duos of male and female when made by a human. And also, Rome had no female emperors. Coloring and rendering this Pokemon was also a lot of fun, honestly. I really enjoyed the texturing and rendering of the previous 2 Pokemon as well. This honey is just so much fun to render, and it looks so much better than Megalite's honey.
Gary, I am your guardian angel.
Am I going to heaven?
No, straight to the deepest pits of hell.
But... Honarch, from Honey and Monarch. I'm sorry, I couldn't find a name that ended with the word B, other than Cherubi, which is sadly already taken.
Honarch, the Amber Pokemon, a bug psychic type. Honarch controls vast hive networks of serpents with a single movement of its hips. These dances are a form of communication between it and its servants, who listen to every command that it gives. Honarch uses mind-altering honey to subdue and take over the minds of other Pokemon. Bug types are especially vulnerable to this trick, but other Pokemon such as Ursaring and Raichu can also fall for it. Snorlax is immune, however. It has the abilities Queenly Majesty, Honey Gather, and the hidden ability Sticky Hold.
This is another great improvement over the old design, and I finally get the sexy bee lady I always wanted, disregarding both Humblefett and Vexany. Anywho, seems like I'm trapped here in hell for the countless of sins I have committed. Haha. Well, that's a bummer. Yo, Satan, wanna make a deal? If I can get 10 people to like and subscribe on this video, will you let me go?
No.
Excellent! Okay, next Pokemon. Another Pokemon I really wanted to redesign was Eggling, from my episode all about Route 1 Pokemon in the Humlo region. I liked Eggling for the time, and I still think it's an adequate design by my current standards, but I just think I can do a lot better. Eggling took inspiration from chocolate chickens and Easter eggs. Its whole line is based heavily on Belgian chocolate and chocolate figures, which are obviously and unsurprisingly a really big thing here in the Benelux. I wanted to give Eggling a lot more charm by making it rounder and chubbier than before. I was at first debating on going in one of 2 directions. Either I gave it a big head and a small body, or I gave it a big body and a small head. And I eventually chose the latter, as it had a lot more personality. It's a chubby little chocolate-loving chick inside of an Easter egg shell, made of...
Chocolate?
Chocolate? Did you say chocolate?
Yes, sir! With or without nuts.
Chocolate? Chocolate! 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 Chocolate!
So, like, it needs a lot of personality. Also, I'm imagining it eating its own defensive shell when it's hungry. Very cute. The bottom of the body is a shell, and so the top of its head gets a bowl cut, amping up the personality and also cleverly alluding to another eggshell on its head. instead of just doing the basic thing everyone else seems to do with chick Pokemons, giving it an eggshell on its head. Now that I think about it, all my first route Pokemon are all food inspired. Munchies with cheese, Goobee with honey, and Eggling with chocolate eggs. You know, that's actually kind of a fun theme for this trio of first stagers. It gives the early route some personality. Sweet! Literally.
Eggling, the colored egg Pokemon. A normal flying type. From the moment it hatches, it stays close to its mother. If it can't find its mother, it instead imprints on the first person or Pokemon it sees. It walks around in its shell, which still provides it with nutrients and protection. The eggshell it wears tastes like a delicious chocolate. It has the ability Big Packs and the hidden ability Super Luck.
Eggling still has two different forms, a female and a male form. They're both just color swaps of each other, but the real magic happens when you evolve them. Those 4 people who watched the original video on early route Pokemon will know that Eggling is a split evolution, based on whichever gender you have. Female Eggling will evolve into Matrihen, and male Eggling will evolve into Patrooster. I decided to redraw both of these Pokemon, since I was already updating this line. So here's a swift little comparison. I sincerely hope that these guys can stand alongside other beloved early birds like Fletchinder and Corviknight, despite being a little more plain and a lot less cool than them. Okay, final Pokemon. For this one, I decided to poll you guys on which old design of mine you guys wanted to see me redesign. And Hummigrate won. Or, lost with a decisive landslide. So, come here, Hummigrates! Wait a second. All 4 bug types I drew in my regional bugs video are now in this one too. Wow, that video really has been banished to the realm of lost media too, hasn't it? Hummigrate originally took inspiration from the hummingbird hawkmoth, which is quite the oxymoron, but regardless, I once encountered a real-life hummingbird hawkmoth while gardening. And god, that was such a cool moment. They migrate from Spain to the Benelux during summer, and return to Spain during the winter. So I took extra inspiration from Spanish conquistadors and Sinterklaas, Saint Nicholas as he's also known as. Basically, he's the Dutch version of Santa Claus, but instead of coming from the North Pole, he comes from Spain, or in some cases Turkey, which are both infinitely worse places to live than the North Pole. During my sketching phase, I dabbled with the idea of scrapping the Saint Nicholas inspirations, and instead making it a grass type. But I eventually decided against this, as the current concept solidifies this Pokemon's entire reason to be in the Humlo region in the first place. I instead made it way bigger and cuter looking, making him a small bean with a big snoot, and also 4 big red-yellow wings. This guy is deliberately a pretty weak bug. I know most people don't like it when Game Freak makes weak bug types, but I think they do have their place, especially game design wise. And Hummigrate also fills a unique niche that I find sorely lacking in most Pokemon games. It's a single stage Pokemon that's really helpful in the early game, but falls off in the middle and late game. I mean, we do have a lot of weak single-stage Pokemon, don't get me wrong. Spinda, Luvdisc, Delibird, but none of those you find early enough to be helpful, really. While, meanwhile, you can find Hummigrate right after the first boss fight, which is also a Hummigrate. Yeah, I've touched on it before, but in the bug type video, I said that my region will also have type-specific Pokemon bosses, similar to totems from Alola or titans from Paldea. And the first boss in the entire game you'd face is Hummigrate, which would actually be a rather tough opponent, as its stats would be much higher than any Pokemon you've had available at this point. Look, here comes the steamboat from Paldean lands. It brings us Saint Hummigrate, it's buzzing its wings. For those unaware, that's a Dutch song about Saint Nicholas.
Hummigrate, the migration Pokemon. A bug and flying type. It flies over from Paldea during the summer. They return home once winter starts. When they migrate back to Paldea, a festival is held in their honor. They can only be found in the Humlo region during summer and fall. Likewise, they can only be seen in Paldea during spring and winter.
I always really liked the original Hummigrate, even though I also recognize that it's aged and has a lot of flaws to its design. So I hope this guy is a bit of an improvement over the old design. I definitely think he is, but let me know what you guys think. I would like to know what all of you think about these brand new redesigns, and whether or not there is an old design you may prefer over them. There's still a bunch of old designs I want to redesign sometime in the future. So let me know which of these old Humlo Pokemon you want to see get the spotlight again. Now let's update the decks, shall we? Perfect. That's all for the day, everybody. I've been trying to make progress on the big map video I promised, but it's been pretty slow so far. I have started recording and editing though, so now I should make a lot more progress. I hope. I'm aiming for a release end December, but I can't promise anything with an upcoming exam looming over me. That being said though, like and subscribe to get me out of hell, and have another wonderful day. I've been Gary the Motham. Gotta catch me later.